Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Sybil, and Happy New Year, Happy Merry Christmas, and all of that stuff. And Cameron, Ahmed, Damon, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas to you. How you doing?
Happy New Year.
Happy
Happy New Year,
Kwanzaa.
everybody.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Glad to be back.
Merry
Glad
New
to be
Year.
back.
Yes,
Merry New Year.
all of that. Did you all have good holidays?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Let me just say something. One thing there, Cameron. The nodding doesn't work well on radio. Just so you know.
Right.
You're like heads going bobbing up and down, and for people listening, they're going, what are they
Is
saying?
he okay?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Gotta
So
get back in the groove here.
right. So Cameron, you had a good holiday, the family and everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Christmas, we went to go see The Color Purple. Fantastic adaptation.
Hmm.
And for New Year, ate my black eyed peas and greens. I picked the greens this year.
Oh wow.
So they were some finely picked greens.
Made
And
with love.
yes, absolutely. Made with love. And then I, had to drink that pot liquor. Okay.
Yeah,
Straight
yeah,
to the veins.
yeah.
Feeling energized.
Oh well, if it's any consolation for anyone else who didn't pick the greens, I picked the can that the greens were in. So if that counts for anything,
Glory.
yeah. Well, yeah,
Glory
exactly,
greens.
exactly.
Glory greens.
What about you, Damon? Did you have a good holiday? I know you had a number of celebrations over the
Yeah.
holiday, right?
Yes, it's been a whirlwind since Christmas. Christmas was great. When I got my mom, brought her out to the house. We did brunch here at the house for her. And then we spent the rest of the night moving around and seeing people. And then the 28th came around and I went to Atlanta. Then I went to DMV. Then I went to Houston and then came home to Chicago with the Straight Jokes No Chaser comedy tour. And to perform for thousands and thousands of people at night was really awesome. And I knocked it out the park.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, it was
You wouldn't
awesome. And
expect anything less.
well, some heavy hitters, and I was trying to hit the heaviest. So
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
put a lot of expectations on myself. As I told the audience, they are rich and famous. This is my shot, so let's go.
Right.
Okay. All right.
But it was awesome. It was good. And then of course the new year came in, and it was my anniversary.
Your
So we have
wedding
8 years.
anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 years from the wedding, and we just got home from that. To be honest, so all is
Cool.
good.
Cool.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
Welcome
that's a
back.
lot. That's an awful lot.
Hey, I just want to
Yeah.
shout out Damon for making sure that he got into the picture with his wife and Morris Chestnut.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. I was like, oh, because she popped up, and I'm like, and I'm like, okay, all right, and I see Damon.
My
I
wife,
was like,
Come
my
on,
wife,
come on.
my wife, lucky she got in the picture with me and Morris.
I was like, that's right, that's my guy Damon. Get up in there,
Hey,
Damon.
yeah, man. Yeah. I usually take those pictures. We do that for each other, but I always make
Mhm.
a joke like, go ahead and get your own picture in case things don't work out.
And there's no cutting off of pictures.
Yeah,
There's
I ain't
no,
trying to have my arm in a whole album of photos that I'm not
right,
in.
right.
Yeah.
And your son opened up for you?
Yeah, it was awesome, man. I
Together?
had him write an intro rap, and we
Oh.
started with the
Oh.
Bulls music, the thing like when the lineup, and
Uh-huh.
then it jumped into a
And
Chicago.
now.
Yeah, and it jumped into a Chicago Steppers track, and he rapped over that and brought me out.
Oh,
So it was
perfect.
great for him, great for me, great for the city. The mayor was there, and the mayor just put together that he knows both of us and didn't know we were related. So until
That's
he's like, I didn't ever
funny.
put that two and two together, and I told him once before, but he wasn't paying attention. But yeah, so that was great.
And this is the leader of one of the largest cities in the world. Okay. All right.
Indeed. And it was crazy because I have a joke about the migrants, and he's part of the joke, and I forgot to do it. And when I saw him, I was like, I ain't give a
Oh.
damn about meeting and greeting the mayor. I'm like, I forgot the joke, man. Oh man, but everything else was great. So
Come on,
enough about
everybody, come
that.
back in the theater. Come back, come back,
Yeah,
come
I was trying to say it. I'm going
That's
back up
funny.
saying now who does that?
back. And Ahmed, welcome back. You had no time off, but you did have a big Christmas with your youngin in the house.
Yeah. No, he enjoyed his Christmas. He's been utilizing the gifts that he got. he got sick over the this
Dread.
this New Year's Day. You know, me and his mother went out. He dropped him off at my aunt's house, and you know, when we went to pick him up, projectile vomit. Yeah, that was fun.
Nice.
It was just like,
Welcome
hey,
home.
I was like, all right, here we go. So today, so today I've been home with him, and you know, let me tell you something about sons. When it comes to being sick, as a father, you don't matter at all, because I've been with him all day.
Oh,
He'd been having he had his walkie-talkie ordering me around all day. Okay. Dad, where you at? The minute that garage opened and his mom came home.
Oh, mommy was home.
I was just like, all right, little punk.
I'm gonna remember this.
Yeah, I'm like, no love for dad. All up on the mom. Oh, I feel better now. I'm like, okay.
So he got sick at your aunt's house. Was it an aunt on your daddy's side?
Yes.
Yes,
it was.
It's always the daddy's family.
Was it a stomach flu or was
he got a little stomach bug. It's just a little stomach bug, because it's like anytime you because you know, after you do that, you kind of feel better, but then he had something later on that night and did it again. I'm just like, nope.
Yeah.
Wrap this up. Get in bed.
That's not spin him around. That's
No. That's just we're done. We're done with this eating stuff here. Fluids only, sir. Let's go and get this out of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 friends get COVID over the holiday. And so we've been, you know, back and forth in our text chains and everything, but it is say what you want, but this COVID is here to stay.
Yeah, it is. That thing ain't going nowhere.
No.
I work at a church, and the guy who runs the choir and everything like that, he got it, and we got the message. I'm like, all right, here we go. But I'm telling you, the craziest thing is, like, he got it. A week and a half later, he came back, and nobody was just like, it's just not what it was before.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, he got it, he came back. You feeling better? Yep, cool. Move on, everybody.
Well, those who have contracted it first have like have what they call like a long COVID now.
Mm-hmm.
People who have like permanent asthma and shortness of breath. And I have a friend who still can't taste or smell.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the stigma has lessened. It's sort of like HIV after Magic Johnson. So
certainly.
Wow.
Certainly. That is exactly what it is.
No, once you see people survive and do well and thrive afterwards, you're not as worried. That's all I'm saying. I'm not. Yeah.
Okay.
It's manageable now.
It's a different strain. Yeah.
It is. It's a kinder, gentler situation.
Let's talk some current news here, fellas.
I mean, it's not like Easy-E. You know what I mean? It's
What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter, and we kept going through the holiday. We did work on both holidays, on Christmas, all through Kwanzaa, and on New Year's Day. And we talk about stories that we think are affecting or not only affecting the African American community, but something that we think they need to know. And also, as we try to remind each other why they need to know, why is this important to us? And so these are the kinds of stories that you'll see. And Khameron had some really interesting stories over the holidays, including talking about the importance of the foods that we ate for New Year's Day, about Christmas trees and a lot of holiday related stuff. But also today he is talking about the long saga of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, as it has been exposed by ProPublica, which is a nonprofit investigative journalism organization. And so, Khameron, you gave us an interesting take on how his relationship with these very rich benefactors all began.
Yeah, for Clarence Thomas, I mean, like the biggest thorn in the side of the Black agenda since, I don't know, Judas. He really like knows why the cage bird sings. If you look at these, if you look at these declassified memos It reveals that the reason why Clarence Thomas is accepting all of these lavish gifts from Nazis is because Clarence Thomas, when he first became a Supreme Court justice, he was broke, like
As a joke, yeah.
Yeah, just like drowning in debt. And the title of the article is called "From Robes to Rags to Riches," because Clarence Thomas has sort of found himself indebted to these benefactors, almost enslaved to these gifts, and then thereby indebted to the agenda of these radical right conservatives. These memos indicate that he secretly lobbied Congress to remove the cap for Supreme Court justices to accept speaking engagement payments because he was still paying off law school debt. Mm-hmm. He and Jenny had bought this 5-acre house in Virginia, the capital of the Confederacy. And he was putting his grandson through a private school.
Military school or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And so, of course, eventually Mitch slips the provision into a spending bill. And there was some controversy, but not much came out of it.
Past it, yeah.
Right. And since then, he had been receiving all of these gifts from these anonymous radical conservative benefactors who reportedly want to make Clarence Thomas's time as a Supreme Court justice more comfortable. Mm-hmm. Some of them even, paid off his RV. Others put his grandson through private school. And while his salary
paid off his mama's house.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Things that are disguised as campaign donations. And so as we're discovering, the reason why he probably didn't release why he didn't disclose some of these gifts is probably because he's embarrassed to admit that he's broke. And also, as a person who just wants to read the Constitution and tell us what it is that it says, after all of the heights that he's climbed, this very much humanizes him as someone who is still Black in America.
And that's what I thought was your interesting take on it, because he does not recognize his Blackness, right. But he is willing to go along with Mr. Charlie in order to get these things that he needs to supply to his wife and to his lifestyle, which is very disconcerting, the lengths to which he's willing to go, and the depths which he's willing to rule in order to make these benefactors happy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
And more disconcerting. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Cameron.
Nope. Go ahead.
More disconcerting is he married that bland white woman and she don't have no money.
Yes.
Okay.
He married Plain Jane for love.
He married Miss Susie, Miss Ann for the love of, yeah. So he was the one that lobbied for the Supreme Court justices to get a pay raise. He was the one that lobbied for them to be able to get paid for their speaking appearances. And so you have Clarence Thomas to thank for that. But also he's been sitting there waiting for these conservatives to come on the court so that his allegiance to these conservative, as you say, benefactors can finally pay off with their decisions.
There's somebody in the I'm sorry. There was somebody in the comments that says, I don't believe Clarence Thomas is broke. I was like, you have to understand what broke is.
Right. Yeah. Our broke is different than a Clarence Thomas.
But
broke,
even a Clarence Thomas broke, I believe, is our broke. Because the thing is, he's house poor. He's house poor. He's basically living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
It's a big house, but he's living paycheck to paycheck. So like if he wants to downgrade everything, but he can't in his mind do that because of his ego. His ego won't allow him to.
His wife, obviously. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like somebody said that they both thought they were marrying up. They both got fooled.
Right.
He was like, she's like, wait, you ain't got no money either?
Okay.
No.
We got to figure this out. Okay. So I'm going to go work the Trump angle. You go work your angle, and we'll try to meet somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
Man, where's the slush fund?
Yeah, right. So take a look at Cameron's article in the What You Need to Know newsletter. We'd love to have you subscribe. Please go to SybilWilkes.com. Give us your name and your email address, and it's not too late to give them as holiday gifts, because if you walked into any store like between yesterday and today, Valentine's Day is on its way. So nothing says love like a subscription to the What You Need to Know newsletter.
Come on now.
It's free. Give us SybilWilkes.com. Give us your name and email address, and we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. Also, check out the fake Ozempic that is on the market, and people are being warned by the Federal Drug Administration that as expensive as this is, you could be playing with your life trying to get some cheap Ozempic or Wegovy samples, or the fake ones anyway. And not only are these the Ozempic and the Wegovy are those I forget what they call them, something glide, but it is the medication that boosts the insulin in your body. And so this is what a lot of diabetics have known for years to work for them, as well as to help them lose weight. And now people who are in the effort to lose weight have been using these things. And so it'll be interesting to see how people respond to this, because not only is it fake, it's semaglutide, thank you, but it's from the person who knows this product. But it is also, the needles are fake too. So that means that you could be get some sort of infection as well. So
fake needles, like reused needles? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I use Ozempic, and but that's for diabetes, and
right.
I can let y'all know that it's hard to get. It is,
and it's expensive.
Like, it's expensive. It's extremely expensive. But I remember I went up on it was working very well for me, but I had to go up in my dosage, and I went up, and the minute I went up, I could not get it. I could not. Wow. So I had to go back down to below what I was taking before, because I could not. No one had it. Yeah. I went to different. It was like I went all over. But I'm like, y'all don't have this. I was taking a prescription everywhere. Huh? No, you ain't got this either.
It's a real prescription.
I'm like, come on, y'all don't get nothing. I was like, dang.
Come on, baby. You ain't got that. Oh, come on, baby. Come on, man. You got to have some of that.
No. Ozempic? No. Okay.
No.
All right.
And you know your Ozempic is fake if it's flavored. That's one hint. Don't buy the flavored Ozempic. If it comes with gravy, don't buy that Ozempic.
Don't buy it either. Okay. No, please.
Whatever you do, be careful. And if you can get it online, that's not the answer either. They say to go to your.
Do not do that.
Yeah, go to your healthcare provider and get a prescription. But like Ned, you may be going from drugstore to drugstore in order to get it filled or to find it.
Come on, baby. I'll do something strange if you got that old baby.
Because what happens is, and this is from my wife telling me, what they're doing is they're not just taking like a certain dosage. They have to up the dosage like every 3 or 4 months. And so once they start going up there, now when people actually who need it for diabetes, we can't get it, because now everybody's up in the high dosage range. You can't get those at all. Wow. So yeah, it is pretty wild. And like when I see Oprah and all these people that lost all this weight, I'm like, what? I ain't getting none of that. I'm like, where's all this weight supposed to be falling off at? That ain't happening for me.
Right.
Man, you got no Zempic.
No.
And Wegovy. Yeah.
Man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry about that.
But at least you're healthy. That's the important thing.
I'm here. Yeah, and I'm doing good.
And you got a source.
Yes. Yeah. I got a real source.
A legitimate.
You got the plug.
Yep. I got PEPs for sale, prescriptions for sale. What?
No. Everything on the up and up. Let's so those are the kinds of things we talk about in the What You Need to Know newsletter, including HBCU Corner, as well as a little No Black History Fact. And this is also, we've been working with our Black and Fit construction worker, trying to put our bodies back on track. Our friend Cherie White is this is day 2 of the Black and Fit 21-day guide to getting your health in order. So Check that out. Every day there's something different in there. Let's move to trending. And this is, I'm sorry for the question of the day. The big news story was the announcement of the resignation of Harvard's first Black president, Dr. Claudine Gay. And Khameron, you wrote about this for tomorrow's newsletter. And so, if you will, give us a thumbnail sketch about Dr. Gay and her situation, and then I'll ask the question of the day because I'm really curious about how people feel about this.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Gay essentially said in a very nice academic way, man, bump this, y'all can have it, and just stepped away from it. She was under scrutiny for her admittedly abysmal congressional testimony about anti-Semitism. But then Congress doubled down and decided to investigate her for plagiarism on her 1997 dissertation. And the previous president of Harvard and billionaire benefactors all just started coming at Claudine, withdrawing their endowments, and she was facing pressure to resign on campus too.
Well, it was kind of like this for a while, and I know I'm doing this for radio, but it was like,
the Harvard Corporation
the scales were going back and forth, and we support Dr. Gay, or we're investigating, or we knew about it before we hired her, that kind of thing. And so to wake up on the 2nd of January and have them say, nope, she's resigning, not a surprise, but definitely. Well, let me ask you, Khameron, were you surprised that she did acquiesce?
I was hoping that, considering what it meant to Black people, that she would stick around. And I'm just disappointed in Congress because you don't have to look too far to investigate Harvard for some shady stuff. And if a plagiarism scandal is the best that they can do, I'm just really disappointed.
Wow, that's interesting because I'm sorry. So okay. So let me ask the question. What are your thoughts on this? And I will tell you that, and I really want to know from people, what do you think should have happened? And because I'm from old school that, and I learned this from my mom and my dad, that just because you are doing well to get over doesn't mean that is going to be allowed by our society. You, as a Black person, you have to run faster, you have to jump higher, and you have to be more academically qualified than your peers, because you can't have these smudges on your record. You can't have the taint, the smell of plagiarism. You can't have anything that makes your degree look like it's less than what you have, what you put on your resume. And so I'm very disappointed that and I'll take the heat, but I'm very disappointed that she was in this position, and even taking the job, and however prestigious that may be. And I know that's it's a big effing deal, as President Biden would say. But this is a situation where everything has to be clean. There can't be any smudges of dirt on your record. I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
No, I just think that, because we talk about it, that you have to be the supreme Negro, the supreme naysayer, as they say on ESPN. That to get through this, to do these things. Obama had to be, as much as the worst thing they could do is he had a cream suit on. You know what I'm saying? Like when those are the scandals, that is what you have to have. Right. You have to be pristine. But
he couldn't have a son who was a drug addict. He couldn't have a son,
absolutely
who was
not.
doing dealings with Ukraine or
hold on. Think about if he was president now with his daughters and they haven't done anything wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Just think about the weed, right?
Right. Yeah.
They destroy him for that. So I understand what you're saying, Sybil. I hate that it has to be like that.
Right.
I hate that she has to be perfect to take a job, and that she has to think about these things because she's thinking about the betterment of her career. As a Black person in these positions, you cannot think of your career. No, you're thinking about taking this job for all Black people.
All
everybody, which is
behind us.
It's so unfortunate. I'm like, man, I get an opportunity, but I got to think, have I done anything that might even look bad?
Right.
Because this is not a job for me. This
Right.
is the job for the black, all of black.
All of blackdom.
Right.
You know, and so when you have that puts so much pressure on you, because at the end of the day, some people we're wishing that she stayed with the job, because I promise you this: Harvard was not firing her.
Right.
She was not going to get fired. They wanted to put so much heat. Yeah. They wanted to put so much heat under her that she was going to resign. Right. So there are some people out there that say, "Nah, be a martyr, take it, and stay there as long as you can until we can fight back."
And there may be some benefactors who are going to help her during this period of time while she, goes away and then comes back to another position.
But I understand she didn't want like the golden chain from the Harvard corporate. She wants the golden chain from the Harvard corporation.
Right. No, for sure. Vice President Kamala Harris had said, and this is true for a lot of us.
We had a viewer ask if it was proven that she plagiarized. There is evidence of duplicitous language, as the Harvard Corporation calls it. So it is a little copy. I mean, there was a whole block quote that was copy pasted. She plagiarized.
Kamala Harris's mother told her it wasn't so much that she was the first, but just make sure that she's not the only. And that's the kind of thing you have to consider when you're in positions like that. Like, just like President Obama, I don't know when and as good and as clean as he was, and we may not have agreed with a lot of the policies or some of the things, but he was a good president and a good example of the heights to which a Black man can rise, even with all the heat and everything. He kept his cool. He represented. And this was not a good look, and I'm sorry, but even the hint of something wrong, you just have to stay away from that.
Or if you know that you have the tainted history, then, and unfortunately, you can't ruffle feathers. You can't be opinionated. You can't be outspoken. You got to kind of keep your head down. And when subjects come up and controversies arise, to keep them from saying, okay, putting the spotlight on you. And I think that's what happened. If she'd have kept quiet and stayed out of the fray, then we would have still seen her in that position. She might have done her whole tenure without a problem. But it's unfortunate either way. But who amongst us, I mean, a paragraph out of a dissertation, here's a little paragraph or two. You're in the home stretch, your Adderall wore off. You can't finish. You can't finish your paper.
4:45 a.m.
and it's the 90s. Word was the worst. Come on.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this. If you're worried about the plagiarism back then, wait until you see this Chat GPT doing all these papers coming up. Right. You're gonna have a lot. We've already seen lawyers blow cases because of this. So what do you think's about to happen when it comes to dissertations? Good luck with that. And it's one of those things
for all these things. And somebody is being paid to go and check your citations and make sure that. Yeah.
Please believe if there's a Chat GPT for you to cheat, there's something else out there that's allowing teachers to figure out that you're cheating.
Right.
And the exact opposite is out there. I got busted for plagiarism once, and it wasn't me that plagiarized it. It was a group project. And one of my guys, and I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. I'm like, well, he did it. No, that stain stuck on me. The teacher wouldn't even give me, and he was my favorite teacher in high school. He wouldn't even give me a recommendation for college. He's like, I love you, man, but I can't even do it. I can't even do it because of that. I'm like, but I didn't plagiarize. Like, it was his part. He's like, I understand, but because you like in my class that happened, I can't do that. I'm like, wow.
And this might have all stayed on the low had not her reaction to the students on Harvard's campus in the wake of the Israel-Hamas war, and the way that they responded to this. And a lot of Jewish students felt as though they didn't have the back of, they have the support of the administration because of the way they responded, and were supporting Palestinians, not so much the Jewish students, and they were fearful. And so this thing just took on a life of its own on campuses across the country. But Elise Stefanik, the New York Congresswoman, who is taking these women down. Now this is number 2 of the 3 that appeared before the Congress last month. She is taking them down, and so I don't know whether it was designed to do this, but you're seeing women, and this Black woman in particular, but you're seeing women presidents of these colleges and prestigious colleges being taken down and losing their jobs, and liberal universities by this so-called conservative New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. Thanks a lot, Elise.
I know, right?
Yolanda, do we have any comments? Regina Glover on YouTube says she's a smart woman. Wouldn't she have known that her work would be scrutinized? Yeah, you would think so.
You would think
but you wouldn't think that a war in Gaza would happen as well.
No, but even leading up to that, when you're saying, well, I want to lead a life in academia.
Yeah.
And so you're being interviewed for these positions and thinking, I'd like to be the president of Harvard one day. I need to, make sure all of this is clear.
She's also married to a white man, so how smart is she really?
Can you?
Where are we going?
Which is a shame because she's a very handsome woman.
It's because you weren't there.
What can I say?
You
That's
weren't
as much as I go.
Your educated ways. Can we have Amy W back, Yolanda? On YouTube says sometimes it's not worth it to jump through the hoops to become the first. You're right.
That's true. My head.
She's demonstrated that.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
Not everybody can keep up the fight.
Dina C on YouTube, if I'm correct, wasn't it another Black professor Dr. Gay copied? And that's what I don't know that I've heard that, Dina, but I did not see that for sure. And has not been confirmed to me. Evelyn Dawkins on YouTube, they didn't reprimand Melania when she plagiarized Michelle.
They sure didn't. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how you do that with with her. I mean, they pointed it out. As a matter of fact, they pointed out the night that she stole from Michelle Obama's speech. But what do you do? Obviously, whatever she did was nothing compared to what her husband is being accused of doing, and he's not copping to anything. And
a colleague of mine used to be like a speechwriter for Mayor Daley, and he had like misquoted some statistic in some address to something, and Mayor Daley, being as astute as he was, looked at it, noticed it, and then corrected it on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
But afterward, behind closed doors, he got ripped in half.
Yeah.
And almost got fired, but his superior got fired, not him, because his superior didn't quality check the speech.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because Mayor Daley seemed a little dopey, but it turns out.
Hey, when it comes to covering his ass, PhD level genius, dog. Covering his ass, PhD level genius.
He knew when to get out too. I mean, he learned from the best. He learned from the old man, and the old man may not have been a college graduate, but certainly he taught Junior what he needed to do. And
for sure.
And it's unfortunate for her to fall for something like this, because it's sort of like a dissertation. That's sort of like pad your resume. A lot of people embellish their resumes a little bit. And if they only had a couple of instances of, very close plagiaristic copies of people's entire thing, that doesn't really eliminate the effort put into the entire works. So it's all unfortunate, but let it be a lesson. Either have a clean resume and a clean dissertation, or keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and she's just one of many Black people in these DEI spaces who have come under major scrutiny.
Yeah.
There's a DEI executive of Meta who stole $40-some million.
Yeah.
I mean, they are coming for everybody right now. So you better dot your T's and cross your I's.
The worst position to be in 2024 is with DEI.
Anywhere in your job title. Right. Yeah.
You don't want to be anywhere near that.
Wow.
Right, because your job is about the DIE.
Exactly.
Good night, everybody. Tip your waiters and waitresses.
Yeah.
Thank you all for participating. I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on this, obviously. Let's move to trending and what has happened. This is a trending topic, obviously. Damon, you've been a busy man. Tell us what you got coming up.
This weekend at Riddles. Well, actually, I was supposed to be in the Cayman Islands this weekend, but my promoter buddy. Yeah, it's the annual, but my promoter buddy got his details mixed up. So now I'll be in Chicago. No disrespect to Chicago, but
it's January.
Exactly. For him to think that he thought I didn't want to do the show this weekend, he is mistaken, Rod Jefferson. But thankfully, I will be.
He's too busy traveling the country with the big timers. He's too busy.
Yeah. No, I need his money. Wrong. I gave an opportunity to a friend of mine, so I added Vanessa Fraction to the lineup in the Cayman, but I wasn't saying to replace me with that. I was like, split that money up, and now you get two for the price of, and I get my annual birthday in the Cayman. But I'll be at Riddles. We're celebrating my birthday this weekend. And it'd be good to be home at the club after going on the road. And the place that really helped me develop the set that really propelled me this past weekend came from being in Riddles. So I love doing the club and being up close and personal with the people, and then being very free and comfortable. So that's what I'll be doing. It's time to write some new jokes, and you'll be seeing the process if you make it to Riddles this weekend.
And happy birthday in advance, Damon.
Thank you, Sybil. And let me give you a happy birthday in advance so I won't be late next year or this year. Happy birthday, Sybil.
Thank you, Damon. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Because if anybody's birthday, we should all remember, people, it's Sybil's birthday.
Yes.
Okay? So I'm going to get a tattoo of your birthday on my wrist so that I do not let that day go by without acknowledging Sybil's birthday. So you heard it here first. I was the first to say happy birthday.
That's right. That's right. You were the first, and you won't be the last. Thank you very much. Did you guys see this story last week? AMC Theaters has apologized to a civil rights leader, Bishop William Barber. He went to see The Color Purple with his 90-year-old mother. Bishop Barber suffers from an arthritic disability, and so he carries a chair with him because he's not able to sit in the seats and in many seats, not just in the movie theater. And it's like they say, it's like a bar stool with a back on it, and this is where he is most comfortable. And so he, sort of like they used to say, if you don't have a seat at the table, bring your own folding chair. Well, he brings his own bar stool with him, and they got into a snit at the AMC movie theater and called the police to have him removed from the theater. He and his 90-year-old mother, this was the day after Christmas, and the 60-year-old Barber has the chronic form of arthritis that causes inflammation in the joints and ligaments of the spine. And so bringing in his own chair, something he's done. And it's not just at the theater. He's brought it to the White House. He brought his own chair when he appeared before Congress. This chair gets around, right? And so, just for them to say, no, this is illegal. We're calling the police. And he's like, okay, I'm not going to fight you all, but we're going to clear this up. And he said, you have to escort me out. And they did.
They treated him like he was going to see The Colored Purple. But Phil Jackson had one of those chairs when his back was bad on the sidelines.
Right.
And so they had to accommodate him by putting him in wheelchair spaces. They should have those.
That's what I was about to say.
But the crazy part is his 90-year-old mother's in better shape than him. That's interesting as well.
Yeah, and just imagine, seeing your 60-year-old son going out with his two canes and being escorted out by police because of a chair. He's done a lot of things, and he's been a great civil rights leader. He created Moral Mondays in North Carolina and held people to their responsibilities and for doing the right thing in the state of North Carolina as well as the rest of the country. But to have it come down to this, And so they have apologized, but I don't know what I expect more than an apology from people, but something has to be done. And I mean, he should get an AMC pass for life, if nothing
Or
else.
some popcorn
Yeah.
for life.
Come on,
Okay.
Stubbs
Yeah.
card,
Come
premium.
on, come on.
Stubbs.
Yeah. And
Premium
not have
Stubbs.
to stand in line. You go right to the front of the line every time. Because you just done wrong by this man.
Did they say if his mother stayed and watched the movie?
I'm mad. I was thinking about that too. I'm like, did she stay? I'm mad. I'm like,
She's like, they said you gotta go. I'm watching the movie.
And I'll catch up with you, baby.
How often do I get out?
Right. I appreciate you're buying me the ticket, but the money's already good. So we're
AMC stands for hey, move the chair.
That's good.
This
Jesus.
was in Greenville, North Carolina, by the way, and
he's well known. And he's very well known in Greenville. Like
sure.
he is the man in Greenville.
He is the man. Yeah.
Like there should if you're calling the police, that means the manager is involved. You can't tell me the manager didn't know who that man was.
Right.
It's really hard to live in Greenville and not know who he is.
You're lying.
You're lying. You're absolutely lying. So, like at the end of the day, when it comes to not just this, but when we see stories about anybody in public, like police officers and arresting people who are autistic, things of that, it's just understanding the situation, folks. Is not that hard, and I just feel like people make these decisions to do these things to people, and it's just like it's not that hard just to say, I see the situation, okay, let's make an accommodation. I don't understand why police are being involved whatsoever.
And
people power trip
him out.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Why would a man look at the man, look at the chair, see his mother?
90-year-old mama.
It's like, what are we doing?
Right.
Well, now to their credit, they have fear of the folding chair nowadays too. Though.
That is true. It is a deadly weapon.
No weapons allowed in the theater.
Okay.
They said Bishop threw that hat up in the air. It was like, oh no, all the cops. We ain't nope. We know what that means.
Yeah, we've seen your work with the chair, black people.
Okay.
All you naysayers.
And this ain't Alabama, but trust and believe. Yeah.
It can go down.
Right. Los Angeles County Sheriff has released a video of the fatal shooting of a woman who reported domestic violence. This woman was calling to report domestic violence, and the police came and shot her to death. They released the body camera footage Friday night showing the fatal shooting of a 27-year-old black woman who called to report domestic violence in early December. Deani Finlayson called authorities just after 6 o'clock December 4th evening to report a man who would not get out of her house or leave her alone, according to the audio of the call. Officers responded to the apartment complex in Lancaster, once again, where they don't respond well to black people. I don't know if you all remember, we had Coy Malone on earlier in the year, last year, about these black people who were accused of shoplifting, and the police, took the woman down to the ground. Her husband was a cancer patient, and there was a big hullabaloo about the way they treated, and they weren't even in as a part of whatever shoplifting they were accused of. But this is Lancaster again, and they went to the apartment and they shot her less than a minute after she opened the door. Wow. The video showed this. She was holding an object in one hand that they identified as a knife. She grabbed onto the man with her other hand, and a deputy shot her within seconds, according to what the video showed. Yeah, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office and the Sheriff's Department conducting investigations to determine whether the use of force was appropriate. Hell no. What kind of investigation do you have to do?
Right. Yeah. I mean, clearly it's a domestic dispute that needs to be dissolved. And if anything, first thing that you should do when you arrive is separate the people so they don't do harm to one another.
Yeah, let me talk to you. My partner's going to talk to him, and then we're going to work this out. And he might have to come with us.
Yeah, and there was no attempt to de-escalate. It was bam, 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 like through the door, pulled the gun. I didn't know what I was about to witness, and I scrolled and I hit. And it was like, and then you see it and it happens so fast. You're like, wow, that's awful. So.
And you're
it's
like,
almost to the point where
what I think I saw, because like you said, it's just It's unbelievable.
But
Yeah,
that's
and it
just
was
like,
her house.
yeah. And she was the one who called.
She called.
Yeah, when it comes to the police, I don't know what kind of training you need. But I just want to remind everybody, when it comes to the police, it's our job as citizens to make sure that they feel safe and secure in doing their job.
Right.
That is our job as citizens. Our job as citizens is to make sure that the police feel safe and secure to do their job, because then they have every right to kill you if they do not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what is going to be the outcome of this, but it seems to me at some point when police departments see something like this, that they should put their staffs through another round of training instead of just sort of, phew, we dodged another one. Luckily, that didn't happen to us. But it doesn't seem as though they are doing their due diligence to make sure that it does not happen within their department.
I will say this: I did a report on the Black Information Network this morning about I believe it was in Birmingham, and that's why I was kind of triggered by earlier was that they're doing training on how to handle people with like autism, people with different kind of mental issues, so that they can understand what they're seeing is not aggression, but something else. Right. So they can try to de-escalate it a little bit better. And it's one of those things where the police chief was saying this is going to be every 8 months that it's going to be retrained every 8 months, so that they can understand this. And I felt a way about when I saw it. I'm like, this shouldn't be news. This should be automatic. This should be what should be happening when it comes to domestic. Because let's be honest, if you don't train these things on a regular basis, yes, when things like this happen, and to be honest, I have plenty of friends that are cops. They rarely ever touch their gun. They say they like, we hear these stories, but if you talk to the average cop, they rarely pull their gun. They could go a whole year without pulling their gun, right? And so it's like when these things happen to them, training almost go out the window because they haven't dealt with this or pulled their gun in over a year. Now now they're going off of fear and not training. So for these police to not be training on a regular basis, to remind themselves every 6 to 8 months, it shouldn't be news. When I reported it this morning, I'm glad they're doing it, but it shouldn't be for autism. It should be for things like this. How do you handle domestic violence? This should be trained on a regular basis for these guys, and not just some video training that I know all of us have done for if we have a corporate job. It's almost like go back to basic training and go out and actually do these scenarios and try to work these things out.
Damon, one of the stories that has hit very hard for me was the Elijah McClain story. This was a young man. He was described as autistic. His family said that he was not. But he was a very sensitive young man, a young Black man, very small frame, walking home from the convenience store, sounds familiar, and bobbing his head, and he apparently had his headphones on. And somebody reported him to the police saying that he looked strange. And so the police, they did not pull their guns, Med, but what they did was they approached him. He said, please don't, give me my space. I don't feel comfortable. And they took him down to the ground and they put a chokehold on him. This is before George Floyd.
Right.
And they put him in a chokehold. He started to lose consciousness. The EMTs came and they administered ketamine, which was way too much for this small boy. When I say boy, he was 22, 23 years old, but a slight frame, as I said, overdosed him on ketamine and he died 4 days later.
Wow.
This kind of thing is they need to be taught how to handle. I don't care what they are. They need to be taught. And they said something about the people in Colorado, the police departments do not take any of this seriously. Even when they took these guys to court, and some of them got off, and two of the EMT guys were found guilty on second degree charges, but they're not doing the due diligence to teach these people, whether they're police, fire, emergency technicians, just like I was going to say Ahmaud Arbery, the young man in Memphis last year killed by the 5 black policemen.
Right. Yeah.
They don't have any regard. A lot of them don't. And I know what you're saying, Ned, about not pulling their weapons, but the regard for human life.
Mhm.
And look at the coincidence. Until the police storm in and kill a white woman,
Right.
it won't be it'll be a different thing because they see us differently. It's just that simple.
It
There's
just
no way that this same thing would have happened in a white household to a lily white woman with blonde hair without it being an outrage.
Right.
So hopefully the tide changes, but we don't know where this like you said, if the training doesn't come, where's it? What's going to stop it?
Actually, Damon, I actually don't think they. This doesn't sound crazy. That scenario you bring up, there won't be outrage. White people just sue and get their money and keep it moving. They don't speak on it because I've seen videos of white people get shot by cops. They don't ever bring it up. They don't talk about it because for some reason, when it comes to white people and the cops, can't say nothing bad about the police. You know what I'm saying? Like, the police are your friends. It's like literally you never hear anything when white people get done wrong by the police. It's just they sue and they move on. There's never a big to do about it, and there's nothing ever brought up about it. When was the last time you heard about white people like suing the cops? You don't ever hear about it, and it's not
the
like
only time they sue them, Ed, is when they have spent 40 years in prison and they've been wrongly convicted.
But you never hear them say anything, and they get done wrong too. But you never hear they just quietly settle and keep it moving. And I'm just like, why do y'all do that? Why do you do that? That makes absolutely no sense. And then you see what happens with black people. You're like, well, why don't you just settle it and move on? No, it ain't right. It ain't right. It's never right when it's done to black or white.
Right.
No one ever is.
Yeah. Let me tell you something that was a miracle. I'm looking at Tanya Londa, but I got to talk about this Japanese airline plane that landed. It hit a plane that was carrying emergency workers to try to take supplies to the people that were affected by the earthquake. They hit each other. The plane engulfed in flames, and not a person died on that plane. They got them off the plane. They followed the directions of the airline staff. They didn't stop and take their bags out, and they followed directions. They got off the plane, the emergency chutes, and over 300 people survived that. Wow. And the firemen, you could just see the planes just shooting out of the plane. And as I said, unfortunately, 5 people died on the other plane of those that were going to help those affected by the earthquake. But this is a teachable moment because I'm like, where's my wallet? Where's my keys? I can't let them.
I'm not leaving my Louis bag.
Well, these people left all of their stuff and they walked away with their lives.
Well, that's also a
insurance will take care of that.
Yeah, that's a lesson for us to stay in shape because Japanese people are tiny and they all shot down their feet pretty quickly.
They didn't have to, squeeze by anybody,
or they carry an extra chair. I'm just saying, change your diet, you'll survive a plane emergency.
Oh, okay. God.
Okay.
I mean, you save split seconds by having to pivot and squeeze your way through aisles.
Yeah, exactly.
Those people that stand up before the plane has come to a standstill and they're trying to move down, everybody follow the directions.
None of that side winding as he was trying to describe. We got a lot of sidewinders in our community.
Excuse me, the plane's about to collide.
Excuse me.
Coming through. We're going to close out with entertainment. This may not be entertaining, but another TV marriage apparently has hit the rocks. The husband of TV's first Black bachelorette, Dr. Brian Abasolo, filed for divorce from Rachel Lindsay. Rachel Lindsay, the first Black bachelorette. And I brought this up because
she was married? She actually got married?
Yeah, they got married. They've been married for 4 years. He filed for divorce. She didn't file. He filed for divorce on January 1st or 2nd, maybe today. But And he said, they asked the question, when was the last time you all cohabited? And he said December 31st. I don't know what happened
Something.
on
Dang.
New Year's Eve, but he went and filed for divorce, and he came forth and said, if you've been following me, this is on this. Everybody has to give their take on social media. If you've been following me for a while, you know I don't like to put my personal life on social media. I like to keep
Except for this.
safe. He said, right. Many of you know me as a chiropractor and also as a husband, my proudest role so far. More than 4 years of marriage, Rachel and I have made the difficult decision to part ways and start anew. My parents have been married forever. I'm a family man, but sometimes loving yourself and your partner means you must let go. What was that conversation?
Well, maybe he asked her for it on his birthday, and then on his anniversary, and then Valentine's Day, and then Christmas. He said, if it don't go down on New Year's Eve, I've had enough. I'm not starting this year like that.
Right. And if you look at this guy,
I feel like I'm living in Sleepy Hollow. I'm a headless horseman.
Oh God. Yeah. Well. Good night, everybody.
It's really good night, ladies and gentlemen. You need to close with the jewel, and condolences to Rachel and Dr. Brian. The jewel today, the best time to start living your life is now. That follows through on what we're just talking about. We all know that tomorrow is not promised. So go out there and live your best life. Thanks, guys. It's great to be back with you. I appreciate it. And I
will need more ponytail holders around this house. I can't take it.
From Damon is killing it tonight.
You've been on one all day. And then Cameron came with the early shots early. Goodness.
Okay, he came loaded, fully loaded, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
man.
Thank you all so much, guys. We'll see you all again soon. Take care. Aloha.
Aloha.